it.
We
All
can
right,
just get into.
we are live. We are live. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Come and join us.
Welcome,
You
welcome
know, we like to
everybody.
have conversation. We're here every
Yeah,
Monday at 7:30 p.m. We're here to teach you, inspire, motivate, encourage, push, and pull you to purpose. So I know
yeah,
you're probably wondering, where's the music? Why is she dancing? Not today, because they keep trying to censor me, y'all. They don't want to let me play the songs. I don't know why they don't want me to dance, but today we're going to be serious. No
yes.
playing around, no singing, no dancing, just good old fashioned conservative Angelina's what you're going to get tonight. So you always know I got my ride or die co-host, Dion Cook.
Woo-hoo. Peace. Yeah.
And I'm so excited because we got
We
fan
got
favorite,
company.
fan favorite, fan
Yes, yeah.
counselor. I don't know what to call him, friend, cousin, minister, whatever. He's an all around, well put together young man, Michael Montgomery, our licensed therapist, who's going to talk to us tonight. So, welcome, Michael, as our special guest. Thank you for being here.
We are
Thanks for
so
having me, D.
excited.
How
I
you
don't
Yes,
have to
doing,
be sound
Dion?
effect. I had to
yes,
be
we're
my
so
own sound
excited.
effect today. All right,
Yes.
I want to thank Michael for coming in because again, Dion are here, Dion and I are here every week again to teach you, motivate you, encourage you, push you, and pull you into your purpose. And while we have a lot of knowledge, we are not licensed therapists. We are not experts. And so for tonight's conversation, I wanted to be sure that we brought in a professional who can help talk to us about um, abandonment and how it is related to PTSD. And so come on in, bring us your comments, bring us your feedback. We love participation in the conversation, but we're going to get right into this. No fooling around. So, abandonment has been our theme for the month, and we just on Saturday had our big Facebook Live about abandonment. And so every Monday for the month of September, we have been kind of delving into certain signs of abandonment. And so I want to reiterate that abandonment can be physical or mental and emotional. We have the motherless, we have the fatherless. We have somebody who's both motherless and fatherless. And sorry, y'all, my phone was ringing. And so, but then we have mental and emotional. And I think sometimes we fail to really acknowledge and talk about the mental and emotional impacts of being abandoned. Sometimes you can have a parent that's right there in the home and they are not there for you mentally and emotionally. They have abandoned you. They are not giving you the love and nurturing that you need mentally. And that can impact a child's development. So, before we really get into this, I just want to go over a few signs of people that might be in their adulthood dealing with abandonment from their childhood. And one of those things that we talked about earlier this month was people pleasing.
Yep.
We talk is giving too much in relationships, which kind of goes to the people pleasing. We're just overdoing it in our friendships and relationships. We have the inability to trust others. So we end up with some trust issues. We push others away to avoid rejection. I also have down here, I'm just going to run through a few of these so we can get into the conversation. But feeling insecure, we got insecurity issues, codependency, a need for continual reassurance. You constantly have to have people reassuring you that they love you, that they're there, that they're not going anywhere. The need to control others. We talked about that last week, us control freaks, right? I run this. And then we have persisting with unhealthy relationships. It's just whatever love we can get, whether it's good or bad, we're going to take it. We have people who have the inability to maintain relationships, which I think kind of goes with the next sign of sabotaging relationships, right? So we're in this and we're have sabotaging behaviors that cause us not to be able to maintain relationships. And the biggest thing that we've been talking about for months now here is lack of emotional intimacy. We didn't get that, right? We didn't get that growing up. So, Michael, you have any comments about some of those signs of
Yeah.
abandonment?
Yeah, you hit them all. And first, it is a huge thing. It's been said that maybe 75, 80% you could Google it, you could fact check it because it's so underreported. Individuals who are suffering from this, as some are, they don't want to be labeled as broken, so they hide it.
Oh,
They don't talk about it, but it shows in their relationships. They can't explain why they don't particularly engage or have that intimate relationship. If you ask them what is why I just don't love them no more, and you try to dig a little bit deeper, well, what is it? I just don't love it. And then they'll start creating things. Oh, well, I just didn't feel heard. Well, did she talk to you? Oh, yeah, she talked to me, but still, I just didn't feel heard. And then there's the pushing you away. There's a great book, and it's about borderline personality disorder. And it's called I Hate You, Don't Leave Me. It's about yeah,
Wow.
they call it the double bind where I hate you, get away, but please don't leave me. So come closer,
mm.
but I'm gonna push you away.
Yo-yo,
Yeah,
yo-yo. Oh my
yeah,
God, the yo-yo relationship, the roller coaster, I want you to come, but then I'm pushing you, and I want you to come, and then, like,
right.
that's really difficult for somebody to deal with.
Absolutely. And after a while, as I tell my clients, you're either gonna buckle up and enjoy the ride, or you're gonna get off. And more times than likely, they're getting off the ride because, I don't care how many times you go to Kings Island or you go to Cedar Point and you can ride the best roller coaster. There comes a point where you just want to get off.
Get off.
It was fun. It was exciting. I've had enough. I don't need fun and exciting. I need stability. And that's something people with abandonment issues can't give you stability. They just can't do it.
I love that because we had a Facebook Live back in June called Forever Relationship. When do you know it's time to move on? And of course, on that was a big controversy as to when do you know it's really time to just go ahead and move on from that relationship? And I think you pointing that out is like, do you want stability? I mean, when it gets to being a yo-yo, up and down, an emotional roller coaster for you, is that really how you want to live your life? Or
Right,
do you want to get stability? And I always say, at some point, you got to think about you and your well-being, right? Is this good for my well-being? And if it's not, you might just have to leave.
right. And no one can tell you when enough is enough. No matter how much your family tells you it's enough, your children, until you're tired, until you're worn down, until you're saying, you know what, you wake up in the morning and it's like Groundhog Day. It's the same day all over. It's the same
Oh,
old stuff. It's the same old, here we go again. Is it ever
yes.
going to change? And the problem is, it's not going to change. Nothing changes unless you change something. Until you change something, nothing changes. It's going to stay the same because the person with these issues, this is their natural. They're okay with it. It's you that's having the trouble with it. And if you give me just 1 second, let me pause my camera because I have people over here watching Monday Night Football and they're getting a little bit too crazy. So
Okay,
I'm
we
gonna
can hear
pause my
them.
camera. Just give me a second.
I wanted to
That's
say
too
what
funny,
Mike.
y'all. So this is raw and
Yeah.
uncut, okay? Sometimes
Let
you
me
got to
let me
do that
let
when
me
you don't have a studio. Go ahead, Dion.
let me interject. I was reading that 7 to 8 people out of 100 people have PSTD and they don't even know it.
Oh,
So 8 million people walking around, adults walking around with PSTD and don't realize that that's what they have. So I was sharing with Angelina Michael that I read that 7 to 8 people out of 100 people have PTSD, and they're walking around, and some people don't know it. They said like it's over 8 million people in the world that don't even realize that they're walking around with PTSD. And that's big. That's a large number. Can you speak to that? One other thing, Michael, while you're speaking to it, I want to talk about military. I wanted to talk about, when women lose children and they suffer from PTSD and childhood distresses. When you grow up in relationships from childhood, you bring PTSD into your adulthood, and a lot of times you never deal with it. You just live with it. So,
well, before he answers that, can you just, for my viewers, so we can all make sure we're on the same page, I believe in definitions, can you just tell us what is PTSD?
Well, it's post traumatic stress disorder. Sorry, post traumatic stress disorder. So post is after the trauma, stress disorder. It's anxiety disorder. It's where the trauma has
Mm.
passed, but you still have symptoms that as if it's still present. And it really started when the veterans of war would come back, and they would display these unbelievable characteristics as if they were still in the war. And back in the day, we would call it being shell shocked, but really they were suffering from PTSD. And then the more we studied it and researched it, the more we found out that you could anything. It could be from an attack from a dog, a bad accident, a bad relationship. Domestic violence creates just tremendous PTSD. Childhood sexual trauma, that probably is the number one. Just being, sexually abused as a child, and then trying to go on as an adult and be successful. And by the way, I want to make this, disclaimer. You could be rich, you could be a doctor, you could be whatever you want to be. And the world, society says you're successful, but you're not successful in your mind if you're still suffering from these things and you have not been healed. I could give you and cite you many people that you said, man, they committed suicide. Robin Williams, funny guy. Kurt Cobain, top of his game. Others who have suffered from this just cannot take it. So many people say, well, how can they have PTSD? They're a doctor, they're a lawyer. It doesn't PTSD knows no bounds. It doesn't know race. It doesn't know socioeconomic status. It don't care about your degree. It don't care about any of those things, whether you straight, gay, queer, questioning, bisexual. It doesn't care. If you've had trauma in your life and it's undealt with and it goes on beyond the 2 or 3 weeks, now you're developing some PTSD type symptoms. But I want to respond. I saw someone on Facebook said when you're sick and tired of something, then you move forward. There it is. You're going to do something about that thing. Not really. I've seen sick and tired people who still sit there and say, I'm so sick and tired of this. But the problem is they don't know what to do. To a female who's relied on a male for everything, all her economics, everything, she don't know where to go, what to do. She's just sick and tired. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to move out of that situation. To get out of that situation, it's going to take more than just being sick and tired. Sick and tired is just the beginning. It's like a
Oh,
man
right.
telling me I have a drinking problem. But until that drinking problem causes your problem, you're going to continue to be at the bar every night, still saying, yeah, I know I get it. I'm
Well, I
tired of
think
having
I teach that you at some point you got to make a decision.
yeah,
I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. You have this spiritual awakening that something needs to change, but you have to actually make a conscious decision that, you know what, I'm going to do something about it. Because if you don't make a decision that you're going to do something about it, then you just end up staying there. But one of those things is people don't know what to do. And
right,
so I teach in my class, just do something,
right,
pursue. Just do something is better than just not doing anything. But I
right.
want to let you get back to, I got other stuff to say, but I'm gonna let you get back to Dion's question. I don't even know if you remember Dion's question. Does she need to reword it again? Because
Now, something
somebody
about
had a comment that
PTSD,
relates
how
to
many
her
people
question.
suffering. Yeah.
Was she
Well,
talking about related to the army? Go ahead, Dean. Ask your question again. I'm so sorry.
that's okay. I was just going to say, and I think you touched on it because you talked about when they went to the army, they called it shell shock and so forth. And then you talked, but one of the things about women in childbearing, when they lose children and childbirthing, even sometimes they call it post traumatic syndrome when mothers have babies and then they have all those emotions and stuff behind when they actually physically have a child alive birth. How does that affect a baby when the baby dies, or if they miscarry, or bring a baby to full term and is stillborn? We don't think of it in terms of PTSD. We give it another name, but it still has the same effects. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, any trauma comes in many forms and shape sizes. Whatever it is that's so traumatic that it literally changes your trajectory in life. You are different. You are now affected by this trauma. This trauma is something that you're dealing with daily. So it could be stillborn. It could be losing a child in utero. It could be an accident. It could be gunshot. It could be, and it doesn't even have to happen to you. It could be around you. You can suffer from PTSD by watching someone else get shot, by watching an accident, and in the home by watching your parents fight, by watching your parents, disrespect each other. That child can grow up with anxiety. A dad who comes home and is always angry. The children are suffering from PTSD because they know right away everything got to be perfect before he gets home, and they begin to walk on eggshells because they know anything will set him off. Likewise, I'm always using the male, but usually it's a male, but it can happen with females. But walking on eggshells is a symptom of that PTSD. You're afraid. You're afraid of being re-traumatized. You don't know when he's gonna go off. So all of that, Dion, is part of it. All of it. So yes, ma'am. Anything that is really traumatic can trigger PTSD symptoms after the trauma.
So I have a question. I don't even know if I can word this question correctly, but so we're traumatized in our childhood. We bring that stuff into our adulthood. How is this different than having a trigger? Like, for instance, maybe you had a father who was very verbal abusive, downgrading, right? But now you're an adult, you've moved out on your own, and maybe you're dating, maybe you're married, I don't know. But then that husband maybe it resembles some of those same attributes, and it triggers you. I mean, is that considered PTSD, or is that just a trigger?
Well, the true definition of is post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what the acronym. So whatever triggers you after the fact, and it brings back some of those same symptoms: sweaty palms, anxious, scared, nervous, can't seem to think. When you're in an anxious, anxiety-laden state, it's hard for you to process, your next move. Some people have forgotten their way home because they're in a PTSD type and anxiety laden state. So it changes how you process things. So yes, you can be triggered. Um, and what counters that is the ability to talk. And that's one of the biggest problems because a lot of people who've been traumatized can't communicate. They can't say, this happened to me as a child. They don't want to be broken. They don't want to be labeled. So, what's the African proverb? He that heals his affliction cannot be healed. So the more you hide it, the worse you're becoming to yourself. So all of that. So yes, Bean, Angelina, sorry. Yes, Angelina, you can become triggered. Some people get triggered even in their adulthood. They haven't showed any symptoms. Let's say they had a childhood situation, traumatic. They may be fine, but there's gonna be an event in their life that's so traumatic, and it's gonna trigger all of that stuff. And once you open up Pandora's box, it's hard to get it back in. And now you're in it, and they can't even explain what's going on. They don't even know why they're doing it.
Mm.
And that's the difficult thing. And let me pause my camera a second. I can hear you. Let me just pause my camera. I can hear you.
So this is just very interesting to me because in my class we talk about triggers and how to process triggers and how to effectively respond to them. And one of those things that I do teach is to know like what's happening into you in that moment. Like take a minute and process it. Like how are you feeling? How is your body reacting? And learn to kind of calm your body down, and calm your mind down, and then kind of think about and reflect on how you're feeling in that moment, and then be able to start reflecting on your thoughts. And so I just wonder how different that is, from someone going through PTSD. I don't know how much you heard of it, Michael, but I teach people that when something starts to happen, to pay attention to your body's reaction. What's happening with your body? Is your heart starting to beat fast? Are my palms getting sweaty? Am I starting to shake? And stop for a moment and process how you're feeling, what you're going through in your body, and then start to process that in your mind so that you can find more effective ways to communicate what's going on with you right now and be able to tell that person, listen, when you did this, this is how you made me feel. This is how I feel. I don't like that. This is why. But sometimes people don't even know why. So that's why we got to go back. We got to dig deep into our past to find out where is this stemming from, so that we can say, this is what happened, and this is how I need you to work with me moving forward. But what I'm hearing from you is sometimes people are just not even there. They're not even able to sit and process it,
Right.
reflect, and think, and try to calm your body down. I got that from Stefan, to calm the body down, and then so that you can be able to effectively respond. We got some comments here.
Can I say something real quick though? I'll get to those two. Angelina, what you described is what we in the field call, what you're doing is called cognitive behavior therapy. You're getting them to think about what's happening with their behaviors. So if you could get them to slow that down and begin to think beyond just those intrusive thoughts, because anxiety really is the fear of the unknown.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this is that same light that drunk driver ran that hit me. So every time you come to that um, intersection, you start having an anxious moment, and it's from that trauma that was passed. And so I'm saying, what you're teaching them is in that moment to understand what's happening with your body. I'm in an anxiety laden state. Let me calm down. The likelihood of this being the same time that another drunk driver is going to hit me is rare. So let me just calm my body. So you're
Right.
giving them cognitive behavior therapy, which is great, which is replacing those anxiety intrusive thoughts with calming thoughts.
Okay, here's
Mhm.
my moment.
Yeah, do your thing. Do your thing. Do
Did
your
something
thing, D.
wrong. All right, we have a comment though that I'd like for you to respond to. A says flashbacks, sweating in a daze. I have PTSD. People don't understand for the most part, even when you tell them. So, what is it that people need to understand when people are trying to tell them about their PTSD and what they might be feeling in that moment? What
Well,
is it
first
that
off,
we need to know and understand so that we can first understand what they're going through and then be able to be sensitive to that?
what was her name? Can I say her name?
It was Asia.
Well, to Asia, first off, uh, it's tough going through that. And for those of us who don't know, the uninformed, in our community, and it looks like I see a picture, African American community, we still kind of in our infancy stages of accepting mental health. I'll get to that, but real quick, when I told my mother that I was going to go into psychology, I mean, literally, she said, "What are you doing that for?" You done went up there to Minnesota and got around them white people. Now you ain't praying no more. Now you ain't looking to God. I said, Mom, even Moses had people around him that, could talk to the people. I said, and last time I checked, didn't Jesus have 12 disciples? Yeah, one was a bum. Okay, we get that. But the other 11, they were out there working with the people. So it's hard to teach somebody about PTSD who don't want to listen, who thinks all mental health ain't nothing but the government way of controlling us. We really have some people in our community that really are still in like old ways of thinking that this isn't real. But when it hits you, like for me, when anxiety and depression hit me, and I'm a therapist, oh, it got real, real. Oh,
Mm,
it's real. Depression and anxiety is real. So to Asia, I say until someone really is able to really feel it, it's hard for them in the absence to fully understand it because some would say she just faking. Oh, she trying. I've heard people tell me, I don't know why you seeing Angelina. She just trying to get Social Security. She ain't crazy. That kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So it's re-victimizing the victim.
victims. Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And it's funny that you mentioned Moses because when I was reading, Moses didn't want to speak because he was in fear of not speaking. So I wondered, did Moses have PTSD?
Well, it's been said that Moses had a speech impediment, so
When you
he
think
didn't
about it,
think he could speak and to really get the people to understand. So he said, "Aaron will be my mouth."
Aaron would be
But
my
yeah, his father-in-law, they was telling him about, you can't see all these people. You got to set up some boards. You got to set up some people that could talk. Jesus couldn't be everywhere, but that's why he said he sent out his disciples two and two into the world, that they may be able to heal it. We still going out trying to heal the world. To those that will hear us, great. To those that don't, well, they say shake the dust from your boots and move on.
but
Everybody ain't gonna want to hear you. That's all.
let's
Yeah.
go back
And
to
what
Bible.
Angelina's doing, oh, I'm
Mhm.
sure people are hating on her.
Right.
But that's just the way it goes.
Let's go back to Bible, Michael, because
Oh,
think
all right.
about Moses. Let's think about Moses. Moses suffered trauma. His mama put him in a basket and set him down the river, and somebody else had to take care of him. That was some trauma right there for Moses because Moses didn't know if he was an Egyptian or if he was a Hebrew. So let's talk about that a little bit. It could have been some PTSD going on.
All right now. All right. I see your logic there. All right, yes, ma'am. Given that context, given that understanding in the way, we'll take it from there. All right, yes, ma'am.
So, but
Uh
wait a minute, Michael,
yeah,
because that same scenario is still happening today, right?
yeah.
So you have parents who
Give up their child.
give up their child, but
Yeah.
with well good intentions for the child,
Yes.
thinking that this is what's best for the child. And it's
Yes.
not that I don't love my child, but I don't think that I am in the place to really give them what they need. And I want to make sure. And so maybe they give them to another parent or a grandparent, right? Moses' mom, she didn't want her child to pass away. I mean, or be murdered. So she sent him up a river. She was trying to save her child, but parents try to save their child, but that doesn't take away the fact that they can feel that separation anxiety. Like
Right.
now
Yes.
Because
I'm being raised by a woman that this is not the sin I used to. I don't know this woman who is now. We all know later on they end up bringing the mom to nurse him, but that's still how to talk about that, Michael.
That's true. A child that has been given up for good reason might be a teenage mom. It might be a child of incest. Might be a child of rape, and or it just might be, look, I am struggling. I could barely feed myself. I don't know how I'm gonna take care of this child. So I'm gonna let my aunt raise her. I'm gonna let grandma raise her. I'm gonna let just gonna give it up for adoption. Most of the time, let's just go with adoption. That child want to know who their birth mother is, and then if they find them, one of the first questions they ask is, "Why did you give me up?" And no
Mhm.
matter how much mom tries to explain, look, I was 17, I was struggling, they still feel like you didn't love me. And that's that missing piece of someone's soul that they will never get back. Again, they could go on to be whatever the Lord has for them to be, but there's still that missing hole in their heart that says, wow, mama didn't want me. Or one of the worst ones, and you mentioned it at the beginning, B, is to live in a house with a mom or pop who cannot give you the nurturing, who cannot love you. That's one of the worst because you're dying on the vine. You're right there. And that pop or mom, they just can't give it to you. And when these children grow up, they still want that love and affection from mom and pop that they just can't get. And that's a hole. And then we bring that hole, that baggage into relationships. And I've seen people who say, man, my dad was terrible. I don't want to be nothing like him. And then they become worse than him or worse because not only are you bringing your baggage, but you're bringing that transgenerational baggage from your dad who might be bringing baggage from his dad. So I'm saying,
Mhm.
you talked about it a couple months
Generational
ago about
curses.
breaking this vicious cycle. This cycle is
Generational curses.
horrible. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then we have some that just don't even want to acknowledge it. That's to me, that's the saddest. You don't even want to acknowledge it. You can't look at your life and see how, this has been a detriment. Nope, I'm fine. All right. Where you going with your fine self? Let's see how that work out.
So I
Well,
like to say
Michael, oh,
though, oh,
I'm sorry. I was gonna say,
I,
let's talk about those parents that give away one child and keep other children.
Woo.
ooh,
Now that's that's rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's think about that because I'm sure we have some of our viewers where some of they kept some of the children and then some of the children they gave away. So can we talk about that a little bit because I'm sure there's some people hurting out there as a result of that as well.
Yeah. We try to go back and recreate we do this thing called playback theater where you go back to that point in your life where you feel like the trauma and it's almost like a drama scene and you put the characters where you want them, who's doing what, and then you say action and first they show you what happened and then you say cut and then you do a reenactment of how they wanted it to be. And when a mom or a dad chooses one over the other, no matter how many times they try to replay this scene, they cannot put it together as to why one was chosen over them. No matter how much the parents say it was because of this fact. Oh, when you were born, I was broke. When you was born, I was going through my own traumatic event. When you was born, I didn't know this. It doesn't matter what you say. Hurt is hurt. Pain is pain. Loss is loss. And it's hard. Yes, I know the story about Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall and all that. They couldn't put him back together. There's a lot of Humpty Dumptys out there. And no matter how much we've tried, we just can't put them back together because they always missing that one piece. And the hardest question to answer in mental health, especially when it's been done to you trauma, why?
well, how
Why
come?
was I molested? Why was I abandoned? Why was I mistreated? Why me? And no one can answer that question. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
this you right.
some people are able to process and accept the answer for what it is, process that, and move on, right? And others are not.
Is that a statement?
No, it's a question.
Oh, why? There go that why question.
Well,
It's kind of like,
there's some of us able to say, you know what, that happened, and I take your answer for what it is. I forgive you, and let's start over. Let's have a relationship. Let's build a relationship, or do whatever, and they, move on to try to live a healthy life. But then you have some who just cannot process that. How? I mean, why? First, the question is why, and can they ever? What can they do to try to process it?
well, like I said, the hardest questions to answers are the why questions. But I will say you have two people that could be born in the same household. How we interpret stuff as individuals, like snowflakes. You and I
Mhm.
could sleep in the same bed. We could eat the same grits, eggs, bacon, and waffles. We could go to the same school, but how
Right.
I'm interpreting and how you interpret it is different. And then my experiences at school is different from your experiences. My experiences at McDonald's is different from yours at Burger King. So somebody could be getting nurtured at work where you getting condemned at work. It's that it perpetuates what I already feel. I'm already beaten down. Now
Mhm.
McDonald's telling me I'm always late. The fries I made are burnt. I don't know how to make a Big Mac. Well, your sister could be working at Burger King and they think she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Man, that Whopper you made, we could have put it on a commercial. You're the best thing. We're going to make you assistant manager. All that is feeding your soul to help you get these protective measures to help you fight off that, what happened to you as a child. So it's about what we bring. My pop, as you all know, I've talked about him, Florida, orange trees. He could take an orange tree, he could uproot it and plant it somewhere else, and it could bear fruit. And he'll say, "Man," in my mind, I'm like, "Man, that was a good yield." And he'll say, "Son, that tree will never bear as much fruit as it would have if I would have left it in its natural state." That's just the way it is. That's just the way when you move a plant, which is I'm gonna use a child, when you
Word.
move it from one state out of its natural and put it somewhere in an artificial, like I said, they may become doctors, lawyers, and they may be good, but would not yield as much fruit as they would have if they would have stayed in their natural environment. And that's some of the why questions, some of the things that we experience can build us up.
We got a comment here, and then we're gonna have to wrap up soon. I'll be trying to get the people, not keep them too long on a Monday night, but
We
Asia says
wrapping up
that's true.
already?
Yeah, we're past 8. She says, that's true. Why me? I know, good conversation. That's what happens when you have a good conversation. I've tried the forgiveness thing, but I get triggered and I get so mad. I don't think I'm able to move past the why. I just make sure my daughters will never have a why, and I keep dialogue open. So if they do have a why, even in young age, we can address it and move forward.
Man,
So, Michael? What can you tell Asia to help her in her parenting of her children if this is still impacting her today?
well, first off, Asia has an awakening, an understanding of what's going on with her, and she don't want to pass that down to her children. So she's being intentional about it. Where
Yes.
a wise man said, whether you kill a man intentionally or unintentionally, the end result is he dead.
He's
So
dead.
she is intentionally saying, I'm not going to kill my children. I'm not going to allow them to suffer in silence. We're going to talk through this. And she's doing it now in the building blocks when they're able to learn how to communicate effectively. My hat goes off to Asia.
Yeah.
I mean, great
Yeah.
job, Asia. Great job. Great job. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right, Dion, anything else? Any other questions? Any other statements that you want to make?
Well, Michael, before we let you go, I read something, and I just wanted you to just talk about it a little bit, because we find out that when people are hurt, sometimes they have memory loss or gaps in memory. Some things they remember and some things that they don't remember. So maybe if we can help people just understand that, um, allowing themselves to feel the hurt or the pain of it all, to allow them to gather those memories so that they can deal with it, so that they can move past the emotional baggage, so that they can get the help that they need. Because we have a tendency to put those things on a back shelf and try to forget them like they never happened when they're still very prevalent.
Yeah. Well, sometimes our mind is so complex to where we can, unbeknownst to us, subconsciously forget about it because the trauma is so immense, it's so great. We call that sometimes, if it's so great, dissociative disorder, where you can disassociate from the trauma, but it can create a whole nother personality, which becomes a part of who you are, which is going to cause you some problems down the line. Back in the day, they called it split personality. So today we call it dissociative disorder, where you may have three or four distinct personalities. One's a child when the trauma happened. The next one is this ultra, I will beat you blankety blank blank. You ever try to do this? That's the one that some women display when they said ain't no other man gonna, and your husband like, but I'm just trying to love you. You ain't trying to love me. You trying to take it. That's that other personality coming out. And then you have that one who is so subjugated and so sad to where the boss don't even like this personality. So I'm saying I don't think people necessarily want to forget about it. Miss Dion, they just can't deal with it. It's just too traumatic. And they can deal with it with a lot of love, encouragement, and abundance of patience. Don't take them too fast. Don't say, well, you should be beyond this. You 40 years old. My mother, I love her. I hope my family ain't watching. She just told me at like 78, between 78 and 80, about a very traumatic event that happened when she was 14. And I mean, it just triggered in her. And I mean, and she mentally just haven't been the same since. This is serious. This is really serious. And she tried to forget it, but as the subconscious goes, sooner or later, you're gonna have to deal with it. Sooner or later, you have to deal with it. And for Miss Asia, she's dealing with it young, so her prognosis looks bright.
Oh man.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Michael, as we close out of here, any last thoughts? This things that you want to say? This is the Michael corner at this point. Anything we missed that you want to make sure that the people know?
Lastly, if you cannot talk about it, you can't deal with it. I deal with couples all the time, and one of them cannot talk. And I see marriages fall apart, not because of abuse, not because of money, not because of we have a difference in raising children. We can't talk about it. We can't sit down and talk. There are wives that don't even know the husband is pulling away because he can't talk. Why is he being so silent, Michael? Trauma. Trauma causes you to clam up. And then you get in these superficial relationships where you don't have to talk. It's just about, hey, you know what I come here to do? Let's do what we got to do. I'm gonna go left, you gonna go right, and you wind up being in several of these superficial relationships that don't have nothing to them. But for you right now, that's as good as it get. And I will not demonize, nor I will say anything hurtful about females that go from men to men. What's that old song? Looking for love and
And all the
all
wrong.
All the wrong
wrong
places.
places.
Mhm.
Yeah. And to my couples, whether you're married or not, I don't care what nobody say. I get tired of couples coming in saying, I love him, but I don't like him. If you don't like him, it's easy not to love him. It's easy to walk away when you don't like someone. When you just don't like someone, you use that old cliche, I love him, but I don't like him. If you're in a relationship, you really should like the person, or you're going to be in a miserable state. So learn to like each other. And if you don't like them, tell them why, deal with it, move on, be well, be happy. And in the end, be humble. Be
Amen.
humble.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Michael, for joining us on a
Yeah,
Monday night. I
Mike.
really appreciate you taking your time out. I hope everyone watching has gotten something out of this. And my closing remarks is going to go with this closing statement that I have up here on the screen, where Lois Anna says, "Mental health is very important and serious and needs to be taken care of just as much as we take care of our physical and emotional health." And so, becoming a being, again, we are here to instruct, teach, motivate, push, and pull you into purpose. But to do that, we have to heal those things that keep
Yeah.
us bound. We have to deal with these emotions and these feelings. We've got to heal the trauma that's happened. And that's why I started Becoming the Being. I am so passionate about this. I am so committed to helping people get over their past so that they can walk in their purpose, be happy, be free, and live life abundantly, however they define that. And so
Yeah.
we are here to help you work on your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. We're here to work on those internal. And then when you work on those internal things that you can control, those 5 areas of your life, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the areas of your life that I talk about. Though they will spill over into the external area of your life, which is dealing all with relationships. So your marriages, your relationships with your children, your parents, your friends, your co-workers, your community, your world in general. But in order to have healthy relationships, you have to be healthy. So you've got to get those internal areas together and work on your mental, your spiritual, emotional core so that it's strong. Nothing can permeate that thing, right? And the things people say or do is no longer keeping you bound. So Becoming a Being is here. I don't have resources to put up, but if you are in need of some type of help, please reach out to me. You can DM me right here on Facebook, and I can get you with a resource to help you so that you can talk, because it begins with speaking. Again, we like to be quiet, we like to be silent, but it begins with talking it out. Whether you talk it out with a psychologist, a psychiatrist, find an accountability partner, a spiritual leader, someone that you can speak with. And then Becoming a Being is always here. We offer classes and to help you grow into your being. So communicate, speak, don't hold it in, don't let it fester, because when it festers, it becomes an infection. And again, that's what we've been talking about: infection from rejection. Abandonment is a form of rejection. And when you don't address that thing, it begins to fester and it begins to infect you, right? And infections can make you sick and you can't operate the way you're supposed to. All right. So we love you. We thank you so much. Again, thank you, Michael, for joining us. Thank you to my co-host, Dion, for all of your great questions. And we hope to see you here. Again, we're here every Monday at 7:30. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube page, and don't forget to share this post so that others can receive the healing that they need. Thank you so much, and you all have a good night.
Before before we leave, remember, you teach who you are, and if you don't like what you teach, change the way you think. Remember, family secrets hurt.
Yeah.
Have a good peace.
Good night.
Get it off your chest. Tell your story. That's how your healing starts, is to tell your story. All right, that's enough. We're over time. Thank you so much. You all have a good night. See you next Monday.
Good night.